There has been another rather suspicious death this week, which appears to have some more connections to Hillary Clinton. Dr. Dean Lorich was also known for treating several celebrities before his death just a few days ago. I've written an article about this on my Steam It blog, if you follow me there. I just wanted to first look at one report. This goes into some more detail about some of his connections to a number of celebrities, including Bono, and his work in Haiti under a group put together by Hillary Clinton associates. So, Dr. Lorich was found dead in his Manhattan apartment. This was reported yesterday, December 12th. He was 54 at the time. He was found dead Sunday afternoon is when his body was found. It was December 10th. Again, just reported about 2 days later. He was found with a knife in his chest. Now, there was no sign of forcible entry to his Park Avenue apartment in Manhattan, according to these reports. Police sources told the New York Post, who has also reported on this, that it appeared Lorich killed himself. So they are ruling this as this death as the result of suicide. That is pretty suspicious. I think I've seen a lot of people already raising questions, stabbing himself in the chest. I'm not sure that is a practical or believable method if it was in fact a suicide. He also left his body for his 11-year-old daughter to find. I would imagine that seems unusual to me as well. There was also no suicide note at the scene. Police source told the New York Daily News, they reported on this, that he was under some personal stress. Lorich was also being sued by former Giants running back Michael Cox, and the few mainstream media outlets that have reported on this, they do seem to focus a little bit more on this part of the story. I'm not ruling out that there could potentially be a connection to Michael Cox. He seemed to have some sort of vendetta, I guess, against Lorich over what he said was a failure by the doctor to properly treat one of his ankle bones damaged by a 2014 game injury. So this former Giants running back was suing Dr. Lorich before his death for that reason. This article goes on to point out that Cox's lawyer, Stephen North, believed the lawsuit would have been covered by the insurance of Lorich's employer, the Hospital for Special Surgery and the New York Presbyterian Hospital, where Lorich served as associate director of the orthopedic trauma service, what the Post had reported. The last time Lorich's name had been in the media was in 2014, when he operated on Bono after the U2 lead singer's biking accident. Yet, Lorich once entered not only the news, but the realm of international controversy as well. So much so that his name appeared in one of the Hillary Clinton emails released by the State Department. You can find that on the WikiLeaks website during her Secretary of State private email server scandal. Lorich was part of a small medical team prompted by people close to Clinton to head to Haiti after the nation suffered a devastating magnitude 7 earthquake in January of 2010. It all started when the chief executive of Synth, a medical device manufacturer, offered use of the company's private jet to Dr. David Helfet, who is a director of the Combined Orthopedic Trauma Service at the HSS and the New York Presbyterian Hospital for a trip to Haiti. Cranes New York reported on this at the time. They were in need of some positive PR since it was indicated on dozens of charges for running illegal human trials of a spine fracture treatment, during which at least 5 people died. Fortune reported on this. They have a link to a number of articles. I have this article as well as my blog linked in the description of this video. They talk more about the connections specifically to Hillary Clinton in this email that they're referring to. The doctor did mention Clinton specifically. Helfet himself, they mentioned first that he, since was chaired by Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Weiss, is a prolific donor to organizations linked to Clinton, including over $4 million to John Podesta's Center for American Progress. That's according to the Washington Examiner. Helfet himself had connections to Hillary and Bill Clinton and their Clinton Foundation. At the time, the foundation was active in Haiti. Bill Clinton was also the United Nations special envoy for the country. Helfet received intelligence from Partners in Health, a nonprofit partially funded by the Clinton Foundation, that the General Hospital in the capital had 2 functioning operating rooms. Put together this team of surgeons, 13 people in total, to fly on this plane to Haiti and help whoever they could. That was their intended mission, at least. If you look at the emails, there are a number of problems that popped up. They set off on Friday. This article goes on. They say after some delays, they arrived on January 16th, 2010. Lorich said, and these are pulled from quotes from the full email. I also have that link to the original WikiLeaks email with this message from Lorich that was forwarded sent again to Cheryl Mills, who I'm sure people would recognize that name as a top aide to Hillary Clinton. She was actually a key figure accused of destroying evidence in the Hillary Clinton email scandal, and she forwarded this basically scathing review of the leadership in the Haiti relief to Hillary Clinton. So Hillary Clinton read this message from Lorich, where he says that he was shocked by what he saw on the ground, not just the sheer destruction caused by the earthquake, but also the jarring lack of leadership, organization, and coordination. The hospital they were directed to was in shambles, he said. They found a different one, which at least had running water and electricity, but almost no medical supplies. They had asked to send more supplies. The company did, but the truckload was hijacked on the way from the airport to the hospital. Still within 72 hours, the team completed about 100 surgeries until they ran out of supplies and, escorted by some Jamaican soldiers, left the hospital and hailed a plane to Canada on the following Tuesday. This was a quote from the email. He says, "We all felt as though we abandoned these patients and that country and feel terrible. Our role now, being back in New York, is to expose the inadequacies of the system to the media in the hopes of effecting a change in this system immediately." Lorich said in an email to a colleague, orthopedic surgeon Dr. Christopher Bourne, who, again, he forwarded this to another surgeon, Dr. Michael Hausman, who sent it to Hillary Clinton's then chief of staff, Cheryl Mills. Cheryl Mills is a key figure in numerous Hillary Clinton scandals. Could be significant. Lorich's email thus ended up among those released by Clinton's incomplete email dump, but that was only the beginning. They go on to explain that Lorich followed up on his intent to raise awareness about what he saw. Together with Helfet and another member of the team, he penned an op-ed published by CNN. He also appeared on a February 22nd, 2010 Charlie Rose show. There Lorich expounded on his criticism of this situation in a country that, after decades of intense international involvement, had virtually no functioning government. That was the biggest problem we saw, though. He says, was that there was nobody in charge. It was a sovereign country, and their government really never stepped up, at least in the period of time that we were there. He said all the NGOs had been there for decades and provided fish, but they never taught Haitians how to fish. Lorich repeatedly bringing up the total lack of leadership in the country was especially embarrassing to the Clintons, for whom Haiti had been a pet project of sorts. It was Bill Clinton who used the threat of military intervention, they remind us, to install the Haitian socialist president Jean-Bertrand Aristide in 1994, after he was ousted by his own military 3 years earlier. The country had thousands of registered nonprofits, some backed by Democratic heavyweights like the Clintons and George Soros. Bill Clinton recently hosted an investor conference in the country, and Hillary Clinton sat at the State Department, where she had sway over international aid. So this was something of a direct or an indirect criticism of Hillary Clinton. People are already trying to debunk any sort of connection here. I see in some forums, and I'm not sure what to make of that, if that's a part of a coordinated cover-up, some PR campaign, but they're saying that I see some people mentioning that Lorich did not specifically mention the Clinton Foundation in the WikiLeaks email, but he is obviously calling out the leadership that took place there. And he does mention that Clinton was basically useless, or was actually her involvement was a sign of worse things to come. The U.S. relief mission, this article goes on to say, was dominated by the military, which basically turned all its assets in the region towards Haiti, established air control at the airport, and by January 15th, 2010, was distributing food and water rations by tens of thousands. Bill Clinton was later put in charge of coordinating over $10 billion in relief funds, which resulted in a number of projects that delivered much less than promised. If the money can be traced to any relief at all, the Clintons and their foundation come under a lot of criticism for this. Lorich was one of the first critics of the sort of leadership, the lack of leadership going on, which obviously they took. They didn't fix that over time. Lorich hasn't repeated his acute observations since 2010. At least there seems to be no online record of it. It's unclear whether his interest in Haiti continued. Why did he stop talking about it after 2010? Is it possible that he was threatened to stop talking about this? It's unclear, but it's a possibility. They give another quote, which reads, "Dr. Lorich was a respected surgeon, teacher, and friend to many at HSS, New York Presbyterian, and Cornell Medicine. We helped thousands of patients throughout his career, including many who were impacted by crises abroad." HSS wrote in a statement saying, "We extend our deepest sympathies to Dr. Lorich's family, friends, and patients." A couple other things that I just mentioned in my own blog, again, steemit.com. If you're signed up there, if you could follow me on Steemit, that's greatly appreciated, and you'll get some further updates. I will follow up on this story, but there were a couple other things that I thought may be worth mentioning again. First of all, looking at the role of Cheryl Mills in taking this message. She was basically the one that brought the criticism by Dr. Lorich to Hillary Clinton. It was her that forwarded this scathing review of those running the Haiti relief program. WikiLeaks released this January 2010 email where Clinton was shown quotes from Lorich decrying the complete lack of any organization on the ground. Lorich protested the overall leadership, saying no one was in charge, and we had the first functional up and running hospital in the POP area, yet no one, and I mean no one, came to the hospital to assess what we were doing, what we were capable of doing, and what we would need to be more efficient. The fact that the military could not or would not protect the resupply equipment on Sunday, or let the Tuesday flight come in at all, that says it all, he said in the email. Again, he doesn't make specific mention to Clinton. He doesn't mention the Clinton Foundation specifically, but he does bring up Clinton, saying that in the same email, Lorich wrote, "Disaster management on the ground was non-existent. The difficulties in getting it in, despite the intelligence we had from people on the ground, and David Helfet's high political connections with partners in health, as well as the Clintons, only portended the difficulties we would have once we arrived." So he's saying that Clinton was, he was basically promised this help from Clinton and associates, or he was expecting those connections to help, and he is criticizing the fact that it didn't. He also wrote, "Currently there is no one obviously running the show. He's described the situation overall as chaotic at best. In the same email sent by Mills to Hillary Clinton, Lorich also calls out organizers for the lack of any security at all at the hospital. There was no security at the hospital, he's complained in that email. Now, I would just bring up again the many allegations of criminal misconduct against Clinton, the Clinton Foundation's role in Haiti, including even human trafficking. The case, I'm sure many are aware of the case with Laura Silsby, who had been convicted for trafficking 33 children from Haiti across the Haitian border. I believe it was 10 others, 11 people, 11 workers in total taking these 33 children. Everyone working with Laura Silsby got off the hook completely, basically, and Silsby served a very short sentence, and Bill and Hillary Clinton worked together to basically get her off the hook. So given those questions about that taking place earlier, is it possible that some of this lack of security was exploited or even organized by other Clinton associates? I would bring up Cheryl Mills again. She's the lawyer who sent Clinton this message. She's a top Clinton aide who also ordered PRN reportedly to delete Hillary's 33,000 emails and that related scandal, which were stored on her secret server. Also, I would again mention that Mills was also documented in a separate email chain from 2009, later obtained by WikiLeaks. Again, this had been released by WikiLeaks, but this is a separate email that has a number of similarities where she's again forwarding information about employees of DynCorp in this case. This was DynCorp, I believe it was in Afghanistan. They were caught in another child exploitation scandal. Cheryl Mills forwarded this story to Clinton. Clinton has a few ties to DynCorp. This would have been an embarrassing story for Clinton if it did leak to the press. If you look at the email chain, the original email comes from, it is basically a pre-story from the Washington Post. It's basically telling them, warning Cheryl Mills what is about to come in a upcoming Washington Post email, or what was supposed to be published. If you look at the email chain, it looks like the Washington Post was warning Mills, who in turn warned Clinton of the incoming story. It ended up that it was heavily censored by the media. So there is this known history of Cheryl Mills using any means possible to prevent the spread of news stories which reflect poorly on Clinton. Dr. Lorich was one of the individuals who threatened to expose these very same sorts of issues that Clinton and her team has worked so hard to bury. Forwarded email closes with his remorse over abandoned patients and a vow to expose the system that failed them. This was mentioned in the previous article that I wrote, but he ended his message saying, "I hope this helps. We all felt as though we abandoned these patients and the country and feel terrible. Our role now being back in New York is to expose the inadequacies of the system to the media in the hopes of effecting a change in this system immediately." So this is still being investigated. The quick response from police ruling this death a suicide, given the circumstances of the death, I think are pretty suspicious. I imagine we will have more information come out. I'll follow up as info does come out. If you can leave a comment, let me know what you think. That's greatly appreciated, and leave a like on this video. I will check back shortly. Thanks for watching, everyone.